Good morning. As the weeks continue to go by, and we're now into first week of June, I just continue to think about the workshop that we did with the Memory Institute folks at the Dr. Phillips YMCA here in Orlando, Florida, on Monday. And the exercise started out with, first of all, defining what is GIGG. And everybody in the workshop has heard of an expression about garbage in, garbage out, which is a way of saying GIGO, garbage into my brain and garbage goes out of my brain. But because our brain synergizes information, meaning our brain takes information we're taking into it and it begins to ruminate and begins to think and reflect on it, it begins to look at life experience and interpret it. Garbage, it's more accurate to state that inputs into our brain, and if it's garbage, negativity, it's things that are just, the world is falling apart. Garbage into our brain with this energy of thought, garbage grows. So the exercise is all about what are the things that influence your GIGG, meaning garbage. If you're putting garbage into your brain, then you may be growing a dump in your brain. It may be like you're growing a whole big dumpster into your brain. And is that what you're intending to do? On the other side of it, you would think about what can you make that first position G be? Can you change that first position G from garbage to good? And can you reflect on good in, and good will grow? And so the purpose of the exercise we gave them is to basically question, okay, if you're thinking and you reflect on what influences your first position G, good in, good grows, garbage in, garbage grows, and some people will even say greatness in and greatness will grow, then the question became, what are some of the things that influence your first position G? And so we start with books, magazines, newspapers, podcasts. Where are you grabbing your information from that influences that? Because the key becomes what influences your first position of what's coming in. And I think about the different books and magazines, newspapers. Which newspapers can you believe, and which papers can you not? Which papers influence your thinking? Forget about what you believe. What newspapers do you believe are influencing your inputs? And we had a diversity of answer. Some people saying, well, gee, I don't read newspapers anymore. I get most of my information online. So I go to the online sites and do it. Some people said, I read fiction books. And that influences my thinking because a good fiction book tells good stories, and therefore I use that to influence my GIGG. Wow. And then probably a third of the people in the work group said the Bible influences. So I do read passage, and I do listen to a homily at church or what a pastor is sharing, and I read the Bible. So it was interesting to see. And then a few people even said science fiction influences, because I think of what can be and what science fiction has and things of that sort. Then we got to television, movies, and any entertainment. And of course, television, movies, entertainment got us into the news. And there are some people that just felt like the news. I got to keep up to date with what's going on in the world. And I think of my own life when I got to the point in my life and said, gee, does it really matter if you watch the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock news? And now we have 24/7 news channels. But do you think that the news is really going to change much from 5, 6, 7? That's going to influence and change your life in some capacity. And so might we overdose on listening to news, and what time of the day we listen to it? And I've learned a very simple lesson. I stop my news at about 6 p.m. because if I don't, I find myself ruminating as I'm trying to go to sleep, and I'm restless, and so therefore I've learned to put a curfew on my news, and when I get up in the morning, if I want to influence my gig in a positive way, I play some music, and I'm going to put some music on, some soft rock music, and listen to some pleasant songs, or sometimes it's just orchestra music or classical. In the entertainment world, what was fascinating was the importance of comedy. A number of people in the workshop talked about comedy, that they found that comedies, it gives them a good spirit. And I remember reading stories about people who, as they were given these death sentences or things, they just found themselves immersed in watching comedy, anything that would make them laugh. And as some of the science reports have said, when people are in that mode of where they're laughing and they find things amusing, it actually helps the body's chemistry, and it helps them actually do some good things in terms of the chemistry of the bodies, the hormones and the different cells and things that go on within the body. That comedy really has a big difference. And then, of course, another big one was sports activities on games. And I've learned to watch. What sports am I watching? I'm a New York fan, obviously, and I want to see the New York fans win and do well. So when the New York Knicks lost to the Indiana Pacers, that was a tough night getting to sleep and watching Game 6, and the Pacers just beat the pants off them. So you stop and look at sports in terms of the influences. I learned in football season I don't watch the New York Giant games unless I've learned to tape them, and if they win, I watch it. If they lose, people look at me like I'm crazy, but my competitiveness drives me crazy sometimes. And then we got to music. We started talking about the music that people listen to, and country was a popular station in terms of people listen to. It brought me back to some of the articles I've read where cities with the highest suicide levels, primarily country music stations, because you listen to some of the words. So what I've learned to do is distinguish what words have and what the impact that words have on us. And words have an important influence on us. And so the words we listen to in our music become an imperative to really distinguish. So these uplifting, positive, the world is wonderful music, or is that, my goodness, the world has got challenges and people die and relationships break up. And of course, if you ever listen to some of the rap music, when I used to focus on people playing rap music sometimes, I'd listen to the words. Sometimes going to the beach here, Cocoa Beach, you listen to the music that people are playing, and you say, we're here enjoying the beach and smelling the ocean air and enjoying the day and swimming and the waves, and we're listening to music that's just absolutely terrible. So the point of music is, do you ever distinguish the words that you are listening to? And then, of course, we got the family. And that was funny because some people, well, there are some family members you don't want to listen to, and there are some family members you do listen to. And so, again, it distinguishes not to throw out family. Remember the key, what influences your G? So there may be some family members that you just discard. They're wonderful, you love them, you're with them, you're going to stay with them forever. But you know what? You distinguish what the influences are and whether or not they're influencing your thinking and whether or not they're having an impact on how you ruminate. Friends, that got interesting because what we really want to have are 3 to 4 good friends that we can rely on, that we can talk to. And today's science suggests that, 3 or 4 friends where you can go to. They're the go-to people that you have. And then a couple of people talked about, I have some friends, all they want to do is talk about politics. And I'm like, it depends on the politics in terms of what's going on, but obviously having a concern of things that happen are very important to us to be involved in community social activities, community affairs, what's going on, and then of course knowing enough about what goes on at a national level. And then of course other. We had kind of an other category, and some people talked about the importance of getting out into the sunshine. I love to get out when it's a sunny day and just take a walk in the sun. And we know from science that the importance of nature and how nature has such an impact. So that's that was just such an interesting conversation. And Michael Dattino ran that exercise at the Memory Institute. I thought he did a superb job of getting people to share their influences to thought, and then bringing that forward in terms of just distinguishing how that impacts your life and how you go about living it. And that is my life with Tony for today. These go by so quick. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays are just coming and going. And we obviously are in the prep stages for our 26th USA Memory Championship. So check us out. Go to the USA Memory Championship website, and you'll stay up to date with our 26th event, which is coming on July 12th for qualifying. And then our finals will be here in Winter Park, Florida at Full Sail University on August the 23rd. So stay with our website, and it'll keep you up to date with everything going on in the world of